Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. This is episode 219. I am Zachy Hassan, and who are you?
I'm Brian Hall. What am I doing here?
What are you doing here?
I'm here to chat with my bud.
Well, there we go. You're in the right place.
Oh, great.
This is the arena for chattage to occur.
Yeah, this is the Thunderdome.
This is our...
Two men enter, two friends leave.
Hey, yes. It defeats the purpose of the Thunderdome.
Yeah, that's right.
So what's new, man?
Not much. I was like, don't really want to talk about real world stuff. I mean,
speaking of real world stuff, I will say this.
Yeah.
I was going through my iPhone wallet, and there I see the virtual ticket stub for the last time I was in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Which was last Thursday, watching Invisible Man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
A year ago last Thursday as we record this.
Wow, I'd have to go look. I don't remember the exact dates. But that's actually where I was going. Because, I mean, I was going to mention... I didn't want this to become instantly dated if everything goes poorly. But I was going to say, it just feels like there's just a little sense of optimism in the air, right? With theaters opening in New York and at, 25% capacity. And they had, understandably, a record box office this weekend after 50 weeks. I don't know, it just feels like things are pointed in a good direction.
Record box office, Brian, for Tom and Jerry.
Right.
Which doesn't that feel a little bit like Lost in Space is the movie that defeated Titanic at the box office?
That is the perfect analogy.
That's the little asterisk in history.
Yes. And it's interesting, too, because... that, again, is still with, I mean, we don't have theaters, by me, in LA County open. And this is all at 25% capacity, et cetera. But it made like $14 million, which is something I could imagine it making anyway, right? In the normal world. So it's kind of crazy. And that was a movie that was also simultaneously available on HBO Max.
So did you watch it?
No, I was going to, actually. I saw a billboard the other day, and I was like, I grew up with Tom and Jerry. I'd be interested in some antics, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Have you?
I did. My kids were the ones who were like, we want to watch Tom and Jerry. And I'm like, guys, come on. Let's not this.
See, I'm right there with your kids. Like, come on, Zachy.
This was not a good movie.
See, that's what I've heard. I've heard it focuses way too much on humans.
Yes. It's. I mean, you and I, like you said, we grew up on Tom and Jerry. There's a specific kind of ethos, right? And first of all, I'm kind of like, well, if you don't have like a racist stereotype of a mammy who's yelling at them, what even are you doing? Right? No. Remember that?
I do, yes.
That's terrible.
Didn't they change the voice to...
They changed the voice, yeah.
Right.
They also did that, by the way, on the old the Mr. Magoo cartoons.
See, I only know Mr. Magoo as a thing. I've literally never seen one frame of Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo, first of all, it's like offensive to the blind, number one.
Right.
But he had like a sidekick who was like a stereotypical Asian character.
I see.
Just obviously drawn very, very stereotypically. But even the accent, would you
go so far as to say Susian?
Yeah, kind of.
Hello, March 2021.
Speaking of little stick pins in time. Yeah, so Mr. Magoo had this sidekick, very much like that, like those Dr. Seuss drawings of Chinese people.
Yeah.
It was like that. And his name was Charlie. And what I think of it, because growing up in Saudi Arabia, they used to show these, and I'd be like, Charlie, what are you doing? And he was voiced by Jim Backus.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know why I know this. I can hear his voice.
Right? Yeah, I mean, he sounded like, Mr. Howell.
Yeah.
but the character would have this very stereotypical thing, the old timey, the way people used to. I'm not going to do it, but the way they used to lampoon like a Chinese accent, right?
Right.
And I was thinking, like, the only reason that stereotype exists in my head is because of Mr. Magoo cartoons.
Really?
So how many generations of just like friggin' racist ass kids came up on like Mr. Magoo cartoons? You know what I mean?
Right.
So tying it back to Dr. Seuss, this is my point. Like we've got the Seuss family being like, there's some of this stuff that like it's kind of inappropriate, so we're just going to pull that from circulation. And then you got like certain folks just losing their mind. And I'm like, what is wrong with saying, yeah, you know what, that's not cool?
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of those people are missing, is the fact that this is the estate choosing to do this. Like, this wasn't something that was proposed by a mob and people relenting. I mean, these are the people who own the rights to the books, looking at what they have, deciding what they feel comfortable with, and making a couple decisions. I mean,
that's exactly right.
It's within their right.
I mean, how many Chinese American kids watched those Mr. Magoo cartoons?
Right.
And we're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, times change, and that's a good thing. So anyway, winding all the way back. Sorry, this was an unplanned tangent because of my joke about the horrible racist characters in the old Tom and Jerry cartoons.
Right.
Those cartoons are meant to exist in a 5-minute canvas.
Yeah, sure.
So when you say, "Oh, let's expand this out to 90 minutes," suddenly it's like, well, this is a cat trying to catch a mouse. That's the storyline.
Right.
That's the mythology of Tom and Jerry. Right. And so if you say, "Oh, we got to put that up in a feature," that's why suddenly it's like, "Oh, but what do we do the rest of the time?" Oh, well, here's Chloe Moretz Grace, like trying to prove herself or whatever, Like, what?
Trying to prove herself.
Right?
Yeah.
So
and Colin Jost wants to get married.
Colin Jost, by the way, made 2 appearances in 2 movies in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I saw that. Well,
both of which were maybe ill-considered, is what I would say. But yeah, so Tom and Jerry swing and a miss. There's a short answer.
Well, all right. I guess you saved me 90 minutes.
Saved you 90 minutes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I did get around to is, I guess, we haven't talked about this yet, but I watched Nomadland. So,
okay.
Have you seen this yet?
I haven't.
Okay. Chloe Zhao, who I really like.
Who you're a big fan of.
Mm-hmm. She did The Rider, which was one of my favorite movies, like 2 years back, I think, 3 years back. And, I guess reading the summary, it says, after losing everything in the Great Recession, a woman embarks on a journey through the American West, living as a van-dwelling, modern-day nomad. And that's Frances McDormand. But what's interesting about it is, while she and David Strathairn are actors, the rest of the movie, for the most part, is populated with non-actors, people who are actually living this van as their homes lifestyle.
Gotcha.
Where they trick out their vans and they just go from location to location and go to different jobs depending on the seasons and then just shuffle on to somewhere else. And I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really good. It's very meditative, I mean, it's not super plot heavy, but it's very immersive, and I wouldn't even go so far as to call it like a documentary, because it isn't in any way. However, I read afterwards that a lot of the stories that some of the nonfiction people in the film tell are their actual stories. I see. So it's peppered with this realism. It's a glimpse. I mean, I when it was over, I just had this feeling like, man, I live in a big country. I mean, there's just so many sections of this country that I just are so different from what I know. And I love dipping into these things and learning about people and a lifestyle that's very different from my own. And some people wouldn't have chosen to live this way, but are doing it out of necessity. And some people, this is how they're built. They just want to be free, and put no anchors down anywhere. And there's something about it that feels a little romantic. And you're like, wow, that, watching like them sitting on the edge of a cliff, just eating dinner on a paper plate. I was like, wow, I'd like to do that. But on the other hand, a week later, I prefer to be back at my place. But
Right.
But it also shows, it's not all pleasant either. You're pooping in your van, and you have to take care of those sorts of things. And there's a lot of realities to it. But I would say this is very much a tone poem. So know that going in, and if that sounds interesting to you, I think it's just an interesting glimpse at, I guess, a lifestyle that is happening right outside my front door. So I don't know. I'd be very curious if you check it out.
This is very much on my list. Yeah, it's just been a matter of finding the time. But yeah, I really do want to see it.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And then I started watching a couple older movies. I watched totally on a whim. I was watching My Cousin Vinny because it was starting on the Paramount Network on TV. And then I think it went to commercial, and I was like, oh, no. I'm going to Zacky's Voodoo. So I literally went into your Voodoo. I went in alphabetical, and I was like, come on. And then sure enough, there's My Cousin Vinny, and I was like, all right.
Score.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to say about it, except it's just a really fun movie. I remember this being a big thing when it came out. Not a big thing, but it's like a big sleeper hit, right? And Marissa Tomei ends up getting an Oscar nomination. No, she wins an Oscar for it.
She won, yeah.
Yeah, and I just loved it because it felt older in an interesting way, where for being a comedy, it's about 2 hours long. And you could argue that it could be trimmed down a little bit, but there were some scenes in there, and I wondered why they were there. Like, it just seemed like anecdotes. But then later at the end, all of those things came around to pay off. And it was just one of those things where, they weren't interested in making it as fast as possible and as quippy as possible. They seemed to just make the tale they wanted to tell, and it was good. And I enjoyed seeing a well-written, fun comedy featuring just these really interesting, different characters. So it felt old school in a really fun and satisfying way. So
what's interesting to me about My Cousin Vinny is how it pits one stereotype against another.
You mean like the sort of
you have like the Southern hick stereotype,
yeah,
and the Goodfellas Italian stereotype.
Yeah.
And it kind of, you come out like they both even out in the wash,
Yeah. I don't feel like it picks on either.
It's very sweet when all is said and done,
Yeah. They're both. Well, no. Vinny and his girlfriend are fishes out of water, but
yeah,
those two people interacting and them, will you dress like this? Will you dress like this? Kind of a thing. But yeah, at the end, everybody ends up friends, and it's just kind of a nice movie.
And this may have been like Fred Gwynn's last role, right?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yeah, he's the judge. So Fred Gwynn, for those of you who don't know, he played Herman Munster.
Mm-hmm.
And even as a little kid, I was like, that's Herman Munster.
That's what I remember about seeing this movie for the first time. That was sort of like, what? Like, it was really weird to see him as a man.
Mr. Gambini.
That's good. Yeah.
Little point of trivia for My Cousin Vinny for me in Zacky's personal timeline. This movie came out in March of 1992. I was still living in Saudi Arabia at the time. I was mere months from moving back to the States. And in Saudi Arabia, movie would be released here, and like you'd get the VHS there virtually instantly,
Mm-hmm.
So by like April. And so My Cousin Vinny may well be the last new American movie I watched in Saudi Arabia before moving back here to the States.
Oh, wow.
Look at that little stick pin.
That's kind of cool that you have that tied with that film.
I know. It's a very distinct memory. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I also gotta mention when it was done, I went back to TV and there was still like 40 minutes left, and I was like, "Thank you, Zeki."
And then you watched the last 40 minutes again, right?
I did watch a little bit of it, but
It's funny how much I do that too. Like because I have YouTube TV, and so there'll be times when like I totally do that where it's like what movie's on, and let's just see where it's at, and I can just jump in. So Shawshank Redemption was on,
Yeah,
and it was basically at the point where the warden is in the empty jail cell.
Oh well, you gotta.
At that point, you're like, well. Yeah, I'm committing to the end of this, But like it was literally like it goes to commercial, and I'm like, well, screw that noise. So I pull it up on Vudu and just skip to that part. What's funny though is I watched it 2 years ago. I think
Shawshank.
Yeah, 2019. Right, it was the anniversary, whatever, the 25th. Right, so that would have been 2019. And I'd watched it with my kids, and so we were watching the tail end of it. And my second kid, he's 12 now. He's like, I think this is the best movie I've ever seen. Like he just says that very matter of factly.
That's so cool.
I was like, all right, you're all right.
You know what's so cool about that is I obviously love that movie too. And I remember it making a huge impression on me the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool because your son being a little younger, but he's being your son. He's seen a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what clicked in his mind that made him feel that way. Like, this is possibly better than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, right. He's
That's
like,
kind of interesting, isn't
I
it?
like Avengers, but it's no Andy Dufresne. Like...
Yeah.
That was really fascinating to me because his palate, all my kids, but I mean definitely the older ones, their palates are getting a little more sophisticated now, which is nice. It's a little gratifying.
That's cool.
But what else?
Well, I'll just mention one more thing. I think I mentioned this off mic a week ago or something, but something I found interesting. I'm curious if anyone else has noticed this. Zachy, if you've noticed this. So, watching My Cousin Vinny, the whatever version is available for streaming through Vudu, it looks like a movie that's 30-ish years old, but it still looked pretty good. It was pretty sharp. They've done a good job, HDing it up. But then when I went back to it on cable, I was shocked at how different the colors looked on my television. Like things that appeared sort of a light gray in the version I had watched almost appeared white. And I noticed blues and reds and things just really popped. Like they took the saturation dial and dialed it up a few notches. And I just thought that was weird because you would just imagine there's one file, right, that they sort of hand out to everybody. And I didn't know if that was a channel thing. Because, sometimes when you watch ABC, NBC, Fox, they all kind of have their own color temperatures going on.
Right.
I don't know. It was such a difference that it stuck out to me. And I was curious if you've ever noticed that.
I can't say I have, but I'm kind of, I'll probably be more cognizant of it now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the reason was. I even Googled it, but I couldn't I couldn't find anything.
Well, there you go, folks. If you're listening and you have an answer.
Oh, I'd love to know.
Send it to Movie Film Podcast, P.O. Box. No.
Well, keeping it in the 20th century, I also watched another movie that I'd never seen before. I couldn't believe I'd never seen this, but I watched Hoosiers for the first time.
Okay, you had never seen it.
I've never seen it. And there was two moments in there that I definitely remember people referencing to me before.
Okay.
The moment about, I want you so close, you know what kind of gum he's chewing. Mm-hmm. And then the kid comes back to the bench and he goes, Dentine. And I was like, how do I know that? I have no idea how I know that. But it's like something my dad said to me or something, But anyway, this was really interesting to watch having grown up with Rudy. Because Jerry Goldsmith did both scores. And I was like, wait a minute. This score sounds a lot like Rudy. To me personally, I would still probably go with Rudy, but it definitely has a lot of similar, pretty close phrases. And go for it. They're amazing and they're very uplifting. But man, I love this movie. This was we've talked about this before. Sports movies are almost like cheating because
that's right.
You know what I mean? Like you go in there, Gene Hackman, okay, Gene Hackman, let's do this. And then everybody's like bringing him down and against him. And I'm like, you'll show them, Hackman. Like, they just inherently get you on his side, on this team, the underdog side. And then, of course, things get better and better, and you know they're going to get better. But you just can't help but attach yourself to these people and then feel so satisfied, when they ultimately rise above, and I loved it. It was great. And the Dennis Hopper character, man, he almost had me in tears in a couple moments.
Yeah.
Just great. I mean, if for people who love sports movies who haven't seen Hoosiers, this is a fascinating thing, by the way. So Back to the Future comes out, 1985. Return of the Jedi, 1983. And you look at these films on TV and I go, man, some of this, not all of it, but some of it looks like it could have been shot yesterday.
Right.
Like, they've just done such a good job at cleaning up these prints, and they look sharp. I mean, you can see pores on people's faces and strands of hair. And then Hoosiers came out after both of those films.
Right.
And I swear, I thought this movie was from 1978. So I don't know what the reason for that is. It looks, kind of soft. I don't know if that's a film stock thing or just a preservation. I'm not sure. But that aside, if you can get past that, I think it totally holds up and it's a really uplifting watch.
Yeah, obviously there's a whole subgenre of inspirational coach movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty hard for me to. I think maybe We Are Marshall is the only time I can think of watching that type of movie and being like, nope, no, ain't happening. That was me.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen it, so I believe you.
That was Mick G, and I was like, no, Mick G.
Yeah,
you didn't earn this, Mick G. That was me. But I'm a pretty easy lay when it comes to that. Like McFarland USA from a couple of years ago with Kevin Costner.
Oh, so good, yeah.
Right? I'm like, I know what I'm getting here.
Yes.
And I like it. So to me,
The Way Back.
Yeah, exactly.
Recently.
Yeah. Ben Affleck. Yeah, exactly. I watched that.
That was one of the first pandemic movies, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
They dropped it early on VOD.
Yeah.
Right. It was in theaters already, and then they just sped it up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, by the way, tangent, but I was talking to my brother yesterday, and he was like, I haven't seen Bloodshot yet, the movie, and I was like, I've seen Bloodshot, but you could put a gun to my head, and I could not tell you what that movie's about.
Wait, which one is that?
Yeah,
I was thinking Bloodsport.
No, Bloodshot, the Vin Diesel movie.
Of course, the Vin Diesel one
that they also dropped early on VOD.
Oh, I remember. We talked about it.
Yeah. I don't remember. I am now like the character in Bloodshot in that I have no memory of Bloodshot.
The only thing I remember is that they shoot a truck filled with flour or something, right?
I will take your word for it. I truly I'm like, I think Guy Pearce was in it, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Anyway, so this was in the same batch as the Way Back. But yeah, I mean, those types of movies, I feel like, at least in my personal chronology, Hoosiers is patient zero. That's right. Inspirational coach prime.
Right.
So I unconsciously I measure every other one against Hoosiers.
I started to wonder, when did this genre begin? I'm sure there's been sports films forever, but just when did this sort of template start?
Yeah.
Right. And so thinking of Rudy and Remember the Titans and all that, I did think that. I was like, did Hoosiers kick this off or what? I'm curious. Breaking Away is another one I haven't seen, but I know people love.
Well, I mean, I guess Bad News Bears was kind of right?
That's a good one. I've actually never seen that, but I know it.
I just recently watched, speaking of inspirational coaching movies, Any Given Sunday.
The Oliver Stone?
Oliver Stone with Al Pacino, right, as the coach.
Is that good? I saw it in the theater. I remembered nothing.
I do think it's good, but honestly, I think if you're not in the mood for whatever 2.5 hours, just skip to Pacino in the locker room at the end doing his, you're going to get out there and you're going to do something, just watch that.
Right.
And you're just going to run out of the house screaming. There'll be a Brian-shaped outline in your wall. You'll be so jazzed. Yeah. Just skip right to that. You'll be good, Well, here's some stuff I saw, Brian.
Yeah.
I'll start with the old stuff, and then I'll work up to the new stuff.
Okay.
So this weekend, I watched The Three Musketeers, the Disney version of The Three Musketeers.
I saw you post about this, and I have never seen it, and it feels like something I might enjoy. So I was very curious what you're going to say.
So this is... So for those of you who have no idea what this is, it came out in 1993. It stars Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, and Oliver Platt as the Three Musketeers, and Chris O'Donnell as D'Artagnan, the fourth one. And this movie is Disney being like, all right, so Robin Hood Prince of Thieves was a big hit like a couple years ago.
Right.
How do we do like the PG rated that, you know? So no hand chopping or anything like that.
Right.
But it's like, well, we need. I mean, it's literally it's like a plug and play. It's like, okay, well, we got well-regarded English actor doing an over-the-top villain. Okay, well, they got Rickman, so we can't do that. Tim Curry. Okay, and we just have him do that.
Okay.
And then it's like, who was his sidekick there? You mean Michael Wincott? Yeah. Can we get like a Michael Wincott type? I'll do you one better. We can get Michael Wincott. All right, get it. You know?
Yeah.
Who did the music? Michael Kamen? Was he doing anything? No, let's get him over. Okay, well, who sang the song at the end? Bryan Adams. Ooh, we love
you're
Bryan
right.
Adams. And then somebody's like, hey, I got an idea, because the song sung by Bryan Adams was a big hit. How about we get Bryan Adams plus Sting? Somebody's like, hey, that's a good idea. And then somebody's like, I got an even better idea. How about we get Bryan Adams plus Sting plus Rod Stewart? And they all kind of do a high five.
Why do one raspy voice when you can have three raspy voices?
Exactly. And it'll be a mega hit.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, well, that movie had the one American actor not even attempting an English accent. How about we get 4 American actors not even attempting a French accent? And then everybody kind of like, lit up, and they lit like $100 bill and lit each other cigarettes with it.
Right.
And so that's what that movie is.
Sold?
If that sounds appealing to you, it's. I will say this: it's an hour and 45 minutes, which is about as long as that movie needs to be.
Okay, that's even more appealing.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't give it like an unqualified recommendation, but I would say if that sounds like something you're in the mood for, I think it has its charms. I will say that the following day, having watched The Three Musketeers, I told the boys, I was like, hey, let's watch The Man in the Iron Mask from 1998. And this is, while it is not technically the sequel to the Disney film, it is in essence the sequel because it's, part of the same series of novels.
Okay.
So this is set, 37 years later.
Okay.
So in lieu of Kiefer Sutherland and Charlie Sheen and Oliver Platt, you get Jeremy Irons and John Malkovich and Gerard Depardieu, right? And Gabriel Byrne as Chris O'Donnell, the Chris O'Donnell character.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so I watched that with the boys yesterday. And historically, by the way, this movie came out in March of 1998, so mere months after Titanic.
I remember that, yeah.
So it was a lot of Leo v. Leo box office prognostications. This did not end up beating Titanic at the box office. I think it opened in number 2. And I enjoyed it well enough when I saw it. I haven't revisited it since then, really.
I haven't seen it.
You've never seen it at all?
No.
But I will say this. I enjoyed watching it after The Three Musketeers because I feel like my context with those characters in the earlier film made me feel something more with the film that is set later. That's
good to know.
Yeah.
I would appreciate, I think, watching it that way then.
I think if nothing else for that reason, and again, I'll use my 12-year-old, the second one ends, he's like, I thought the first one was okay, but I really liked this one. That was him.
Oh.
So, it's directed by Randall Wallace.
Oh, writer of Braveheart.
Writer of Braveheart. This might be his first directing effort. He later did We Were Soldiers.
Oh, yeah, I forget. Oh, there's a scene that I'll never forget. It was so gross.
In We Were I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They made fun of it in Tropic Thunder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
Are you
specific?
talking about like the body that's?
Grabs the guy's legs.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Nasty. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gross.
So again, it's not great, but
Sure.
I think it's a good way to spend an afternoon. That's what I would say. I think it's got a really nice score, and I think here's what I'm going to say, Brian. You put Jeremy Irons and Malkovich and Gerard Depardieu and Gabriel Byrne in a room together, you're going to get something interesting,
Yeah, sure.
right?
Yeah.
So there's that, and I think it's just cool. Like 37 years later, it's like, who are these people at this next stage of their life? So I think it almost feels like a legacy sequel.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, obviously, Charlie Sheen is Charlie Sheen, and then whoever's playing his character is a whole other thing.
Jeremy
You're saying
Irons.
you could make the connection?
I thought so, especially because they both have the same goatee.
Oh, okay.
It's Charlie Sheen there, it's Jeremy Irons there. So obviously you're not going to confuse the two. But yeah, I mean, he's extremely religious in the earlier film in Three Musketeers, and then that character has become a priest in the interim. So it all
okay.
It tracks.
Right.
And it's actually pretty cool because the Three Musketeers is about D'Artagnan joining the Musketeers. And then by the time you get to the Man in the Iron Mask, he is like a legend. He's known as like the greatest of Musketeers, So
You're really, this sounds like something I'll probably cue this up.
might be worth it, yeah.
Yeah.
What else did I see? Oh, I watched the SpongeBob movie.
How's that? Is that
Sponge
fun?
on the Run. Aren't you a SpongeBob fan? Aren't you a
I like
Spongehead?
SpongeBob, yeah. I my brother's actually the SpongeBob guy, and he would always show me episodes he thought I would like, and I just cackle. Like, they're so funny. And I enjoyed the movie a lot. The first one.
The first one. You have not seen any of the other ones.
No.
Okay.
But I would still say that, yes, I like SpongeBob.
So this was my very first exposure to SpongeBob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was asked to review it for the paper, and I was like, sure. And then I was like, well, here we go.
Yeah, sure.
And then afterwards, I went and kind of watched some of the other stuff just to get some context. But what I would say is that if you are a SpongeBob aficionado, which I'm assuming after 22 years, there's a fair number, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't like it. Mm-hmm. It's the first time they've gone 100% CGI.
Right.
Because it's usually traditional style animation, and that works. I enjoyed that. And it's funny, I think Keanu Reeves has a guest role as he's a piece of tumbleweed. But it has Keanu Reeves' face in live action.
Right. I think that was in the trailer.
That may be. So he's like there to give advice. So he's like, SpongeBob, look inside yourself. It's like that. And it's hilarious every time he shows up. So that's good.
Isn't that funny, by the way, that like 25 years ago, a Keanu Reeves impersonation would have been like, dude!
Yeah, I know.
And now it's that sort of like, hey.
Now he's this zen
Yeah.
source
You did
of
better.
calm.
That was good.
Oh, thank you. I'll add that to my repertoire, right? So yeah, I would say thumbs up with reservations in that. I mean, it's probably I mean, who am I to say? This was my first time, and I enjoyed it for the most part. But
Yeah.
it's probably aimed more at fans than not.
Makes sense.
And so this is actually it's on VOD, but it's also on Paramount Plus if you have that. So
So that has kicked off
as
Paramount
of
Plus.
like 5 days ago, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it is exactly the same as CBS All Access, just with more. I was not necessarily with more stuff, but with the appearance of more stuff, because I was kind of going through their catalog, and it's a lot of like, hey, VH1 behind the music, and you're like, ooh, let me look at all these episodes, and they have like 6.
Oh,
and you're like, well, I know Behind the Music's been around for more than 6 episodes.
yeah.
Viacom, what kind of shit is this, right?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
So yeah, hopefully they're adding to that back catalog, but as of yet, it's a lot of like signposts pointing to things that will hopefully eventually be there.
I see.
What else have I seen? I watched. Here's one, and I think you've seen this too. Coming to America, and I'm saying Coming to America and doing like the number 2 sign in the air, so you know that I'm saying 2 as opposed to 2.
Yeah, I found that a little weird. I was like, oh, they really did that.
So have you seen this one?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what's your history with the original, with Coming to America?
I feel like I think it came out when I was 10 or something. So I was a little
It's like
young.
88, right? So, yeah.
Oh, so I was 8. Okay. And so I probably saw it on TV as a kid. So I knew like McDowell's and I knew kind of stuff, but it wasn't really one of those movies that got into my brain where I was quoting it and everything. And then I rewatched it like a year ago. And, well, it may as well have called it the first time. And I thought it was really fun. But like I said, I don't have that lifelong kind of history with it that I know a lot of people do. How about yourself?
I'm kind of in the same boat where obviously you're aware of it. How could you not be, right? Like I was explaining to my students today, I was like, I don't think you can understand what a big star Eddie Murphy was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
you don't have a lot of stars like that anymore.
Yeah, like it says something about how big a star he was back then that he's still considered a star now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
He always will be. He's one of those, like Michael Jackson, Madonna, sorts of people where back then they were huge, but you knew almost next to nothing about their personal lives. So they were sort of like figures.
That's right.
Almost like mythic. And I think he still manages to carry that.
I agree with that. Yeah. And in the 80s, I mean, he was just riding from success to success,
Yeah.
And I, Coming to America came at sort of the tail end of that. So certainly when I was in high school, it was one of those movies that everybody quoted.
Right.
And I kid you not, Brian, up until maybe far more recently than I feel comfortable admitting, I thought Soul Glow was a real thing and not just a made-up movie thing.
Right.
Honest to God.
That's hilarious. Oh, you get to see your Eric LaSalle, right?
That's right,
ER. Yeah.
So I rewatched it, and speaking of Eric LaSalle, I put on just a part with him in it just to show my kids, and they're like, Dr. Benton,
So whenever I think of him, I always picture him angrily saying, Carter.
So I like the original, but it's kind of, it didn't hit me, four square between the eyes.
Yeah, same.
So I have an appreciation for it. I certainly think it's funny, but it's not a movie I feel compelled to revisit very much. So the sequel was not a movie I was necessarily excited about, but I was curious about.
I would agree, except I would say there was a little excitement because I do like Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
And I was eager to see him in a new movie from a universe that I know is sort of beloved and I'm a little familiar with. Like, I was hoping to go back, so to speak, a little bit with it.
So for me watching, and I'm curious what you think, but I was happy to be back with these characters.
Yeah.
Because it was like, ooh, that's that thing I know. Oh, they're doing that thing I know. There's that line I know. But the movie itself felt like a very Brady Christmas to me. Where it's like, oh, okay, we're like doing the reunion and it's all kind of just the same thing and it's nice to see everybody and okay, off we go,
I wrote a couple notes down just so I'd have a clear head while I talked about this, and one of them was your quote from your review but the whole thing takes on a very Brady Christmas. I have the whole quote right here in front of me because I was going to say it. Yep.
And it's weird how that is. Like when this is the thing I reviewed this for IGN, and so they have a 1 to 10 rating scale, and I was like, well, this is like a 5. Mm-hmm. And then I looked at specific. I'm like, what is because they gave me like a thing like number 1 means this, number 2, So number 5 was mediocre, and number 6 was okay,
right?
And I was like, ugh. And I agonized over this, Brian.
Yeah,
but I was like, if you like the original one, you'll probably enjoy spending a couple hours in this world again.
Right.
And so I gave it an okay.
Right.
But having said that, I feel no need to ever watch the sequel ever again.
No. I think it has like a 50% or something on Rotten Tomatoes, and even less for the audience score.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm kind of there with you. I don't regret having watched it, but I don't know that what I watched I would recommend to anyone. It's sort of, I don't know what it is. It's the, Zoolander 2, Dumb and Dumber 2. It's these sequels that
the
have
belated
huge
sequels,
spans.
right?
Right, and it was sort of a time and a place thing, and they nailed it. They nailed something really unique and interesting, and it just seems like, for the most part, you probably shouldn't go back.
This is just comedy sequels in general. Tend not to work.
I would agree, and I to be fair, I thought about Bill and Ted 3, and I thought, I wouldn't say Bill and Ted 3 is anywhere as good as the original.
Sure.
But what I think that movie had going for it was, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, they like willed that movie into being a lot of fun. Right?
Yeah.
Like the jokes weren't as sharp as the original, but the energy and the heart of that film was just infectious.
Totally
so it just won me over.
Yeah.
Right? By their efforts, And this movie
But Brian, hold on. Before you complete that thought. I think you can't discount the fact that part of the reason that movie worked for you is because of just the deep-seated affinity you have for the earlier ones.
Absolutely.
Which is why I say if you're a diehard Coming to America fan, you'll at least enjoy having had this experience.
I'm glad you added that. That is a great point, because if you have not seen, say, Bill and Ted 1 or 2, or you don't remember it, you may not feel the way that I did about it.
Right.
Yeah, but it something else sort of struck me about it was there's this weird conflict within it where, why are we there? We're there for Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall.
Yep.
However, as is the case with a lot of these sequels, sequels, they feel like they have to add these new characters, and we don't care about them.
Totally agree.
And the movie needs us to care about them. So they spend all this time on these new characters, but they still have to spend time with the characters we actually showed up for. And so then both sets of characters suffer, and then you end up with something that doesn't feel complete.
Well, here's my thought, and I don't think this is spoiling anything because it's in the trailers, right? Akeem, Eddie Murphy, finds out that he fathered a son when he went to America in the first one, and now the whole line of succession, whatever. So he's got to go to America and bring him back, right? And the son is played by Jermaine Fowler, who I like, by the way. I liked him. He was on a TV show called Superior Donuts a couple of years ago. And I think he's pretty good in this. But it's this whole we got to do Coming to America again.
Yeah.
And do that. And I'm like, why not just make him his son? And he doesn't want to be a prince. He just wants do that.
Yeah.
He wants to go to America and that's the life he wants, Right. And there's something interesting there. As opposed to, they, straight up concocted a date rape.
Dude, I was, very surprised.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, that's gross.
Yeah.
But B, the whole first movie...
Wait, by the way, so for people who didn't watch it, you're explaining... Because the movie says that, he's only been with one woman who ends up being his wife, the queen. But they're like, but you have a son in New York. And he's like, well, how could that happen? And then they actually do this kind of really clever
Marvel style.
Yeah, where they insert him back into the original movie. But then, his son ends up being the result of, literally date rape.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, number one, that's gross. But number two, the love interest in the first film, Lisa, is like a third string supporting character in this one.
Mm-hmm. And when she's around, she's a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm like, why are you jumping through 5 different hoops that you don't need to?
Mm-hmm.
Just have him be his actual son with Lisa.
Yes. And
he doesn't want to be a prince. Boom, there's your story.
Yeah, a lot easier.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah.
A swing and a miss for me, but again, I say it like it's okay in that very Brady Christmas way. We're like, it's kind of nice to see them all back, and okay, there we go,
I agree. And then there's a lot, the movie has a lot of fun and bombast too, right? When you have James Earl Jones, while he's alive, he wants to have a funeral so he can like witness his funeral, I guess.
Right.
And they have all these amazing artists come by, and no joke, in real life, I've been saying this to people recently. I've been saying, "Where's En Vogue? They were huge, right? Like, how does En Vogue not carried over? I seriously don't understand because they were great. And then when they showed up in this movie, I was like, there they are.
There they are.
Yeah. I was really happy to see them. So that was, all the choreography and the costumes. I mean, it's a really, really cool movie to look at. And then, of course, you go back to the barber shop and you get to see Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall and the makeup, and that's a lot of fun too. So it's
and Eddie
there's
Murphy,
fun to be had.
Eddie Murphy's so good.
Yeah.
Like he's just effortlessly good.
Yeah.
In this type of role. But this, you know what? This is post Nutty Professor Eddie.
Right.
And that's just kind of you just got to know that going in,
Yeah.
All right, so that is Coming to America, and we will be coming to your listener letters right after this. All right, we got some listener letters here. Let's just cycle through these, Brian.
Yeah.
This is from Tom McClellan, who says, with regards to this still impending Indiana Jones 5, which I'm still 50-50 about this movie ever existing.
Yeah.
I think every day that goes by, literally every day that goes by, makes it less likely. That's me.
Yeah.
He says, Tom says, what artifact would you like Indy to go after? What would you find interesting? Considering his age, I think the Fountain of Youth would be fitting. Mm-hmm. Also, if it's set late 60s, early 70s, I think an Indiana Jones film set during Vietnam would be interesting. Well, we certainly need no excuse to talk about Indiana Jones.
No. He's been on cable a lot lately. I've been enjoying kind of flipping in and out of that.
Yeah, me too. I've been doing that too, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is a tough one because I will admit I would never want to write an Indiana Jones movie. Or no, actually, that's not true. I would love for Lucasfilm to tell me what they want him to go after, and then I'd like to go to town. Because it's really hard. I mean, you think about the books and all these things that have come out, and the city of Atlantis. I'm like, yeah. And no, I've never read the book. It could be great. But you hear these things, and they just don't sound like the same thing you get out of the films.
Sure.
And I just feel like it's a really, really hard task to come up with. And then, obviously, in the last one, no one liked the last MacGuffin with the crystal skull. Well, no, that's not true. Some people did. But we did.
Yeah. Well, but what I'll say is I don't care so much about the specific MacGuffin as the execution of the quest for the MacGuffin. I
agree. I do agree. I've softened a little bit. I still don't really like that movie, but I've softened a little bit on it.
But I mean, Crystal Skulls is a perfect example, right? Like, and I'm sure you'd agree. Like, there's a version of that movie that's fine, right?
You know what? That was actually the point I was going to make. Is if this movie didn't exist, 3, and they said, "What about the Holy Grail?" I'd be like, "The Monty Python thing?"
Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so.
Which is the reason that Spielberg didn't want to do it.
Oh, funny.
Right? He was like, I don't know. Like,
I saw that before I saw Monty Python. But I'm just saying, like, now as a grown-up, I'd be like, well, I just picture it. I don't know. Like, I picture the bad version of it. And it's really the execution, frankly.
I mean, I'll always remember Spielberg's quote about number 3, where he's like, I'm not interested in the Grail, but if you make it about the quest for the dad, which happens to be the quest for the Grail, that I'm interested in. Right?
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And so I think when you look at those original 3, the only one for me that, like, the MacGuffin by itself is the engine driving the plot is the first one. Yeah. Because that's like the race against time before the Nazis get the Ark, right? And the Ark is, enough of a an iconic thing that by itself, you're like, oh, okay, I want to see that. But like the Sankara stones, like, I don't know what those are, like, we don't care about that. We're just like, oh, it's another adventure with Indiana Jones. Right. And he cares, so I'm going to care. Right. And so when I mean, this could be like the quest for the Holy kidney stone. I don't care. Like what?
Crystal Pepsi.
Right.
Yeah, it's all in the execution. I think within reason. I'm sure there's something
within reason. Yeah.
But I did think this is out there. This could go wildly wrong. But if this is the conclusion to the Indiana Jones movies, what if it has something to do with him having to put all the items he's gotten back?
Oh, sure.
Like with the Ark is in peril or something. Like it's in that warehouse, but then something's going to happen to the warehouse, or they're going to use it for whatever. And so he's got to put the things. He's been accused of being a grave robber. Well, what if he turns it around? And is like, maybe these things should be back where they always belonged.
Hey, there you go, James Mangold. You listening?
Yeah,
I got something there.
I don't know. That's my loose idea off the top of my head.
No, I like that. This is a letter we got from Jeremy Lloyd, who says, I wanted to reach out and thank you for all the content and conversations you guys have been doing this past year. It's been a great distraction to be able to still listen to my favorite podcasts during these troubled times. I especially enjoy the commentary tracks, and you guys have been part of inspiring me to start doing them on my podcast, which we've done 3 so far. Yeah, and Jeremy's podcast, by the way, is Dark Tower Radio, which is a Stephen King-centric podcast, so pretty cool. So Jeremy says, I've also been really enjoying the content on HBO Max, especially a lot of the classic films that I've never seen, such as Casablanca, Citizen Kane. One especially that I checked off my never-watched list was 1974's Chinatown with Jack Nicholson. So my question is, are there any chances of you guys going back and doing some commentary tracks for some classic Hollywood films pre-'80s? It would be interesting to hear your thoughts on some of these films that are held in such high regard. And yeah, until Jeremy's note, it hadn't even occurred to me that, I think, our very first track was Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
which is 68. But yeah, other than that, I think Star Wars might be as far, right? 77? I don't think we've done it. Jaws, okay. But yeah, definitely nothing like pre-code,
Yeah. Yeah. I'd love to.
I think so. I think so The Godfather obviously is one that I really want to do at some point.
You've mentioned that, yeah.
Which I expect we'll get to one of these days. I almost, for something like Citizen Kane, I almost feel woefully like I'm like not the guy,
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes from the fact that I think you would agree. Like, I don't think any of us feel like we're experts on any of these things, but these are things that we have just put so much time and interest into, where we've gleaned and read and ingested so much that we're just sort of happy to get it out of us and sort of say it out loud to anyone who's interested. And so I think, when it comes to those films, I do love those films. Citizen Kane, which I just rewatched, and Casablanca. But I don't feel like I have that stuff in my brain, though I would be very interested to learn about them.
Yeah.
And watch them and talk through them with you.
Casablanca, I love. I would totally be down to do that one of these days.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
So and you know what else I would love is movies I do know pretty well is the old Universal monster movies.
See, now for me, I've literally not seen one.
See, that would be.
I'd love to. It'd be a good excuse.
Yeah, like if we were to talk through like the Wolfman, with Lon Chaney Jr. and or Bride of Frankenstein or something, I'd be totally down for that. Mm-hmm. I love those old movies. Yeah.
Cool. I think it's a great idea.
I think Jeremy may have sparked something, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Here's
what
one
if, and then it ends with there's some article about after we've dropped this, and they put that thing from Billy Madison where they're like, not once did anything you just say it was that a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber, having heard what you just said.
Signed, Jeremy Lloyd. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, may God have mercy on your soul.
Guess that didn't work. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yep.
Dave White wrote to us, and this is with regards, just following up on a previous message of his, where we're talking about directors who are kind of boxed in by having to do, they make a lot of noise for an indie, and then they're plugged into blockbusters, and it doesn't go that well.
Right.
Which, by the way, earlier we were talking about Chloe Zhao.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. And
she's in the barrel with the Eternals for Marvel.
It's so wild when you look at her filmography.
Yeah.
And then it's even Nomadland, which is a big, Fox Searchlight release, but then to just you watch that film and then you think of a Marvel film and you're like, wow, what a leap.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me excited, frankly. I'm curious to see her authorship over that world.
I'm very curious what that looks like. And I will say this, by the way, there was this tendency of saying, oh, all these Marvel movies look alike no matter who directs them, right? And I feel like that did start to shift when Kevin Feige became the boss of bosses, as opposed to answering to Isaac Perlmutter. Because when you look at the things from like 2014, 2015 on, I mean, there's an authorial voice that you can see. I mean, granted, these are all variations on a theme,
Yeah.
But Black Panther feels very indebted to Ryan Coogler's sensibility. Obviously, the Guardians movies, they are inseparable from James Gunn, etc.
Right.
So, something to think about there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Dave says director Josh Trank is one example, or he says Trank received a lot of attention with the movie Chronicle, and of course, and for that reason, he was signed by Fox for their Fantastic Four reboot. Remember that was a thing that existed.
Yep.
He says the moment the first trailer came out through the fanboy community, there was a complete turn against Trank and FF. It was almost as if people had made up their minds that this movie was trash and they couldn't wait to see it, so they could post their hate for it. To me, this feels like one of the first examples of toxic fandom and how a director's career was almost ruined. Now, my recollection, I think Dave is right to some extent. I think there was some reservations about his approach to the material, but my memory is at least the very first trailer was intriguing.
When he said that about the backlash to the trailer, I was trying to remember. I honestly just don't remember.
Because the first trailer really emphasized the body horror Cronenberg-esque approach. Now, I would say, well, that's probably the wrong approach to this property. Right? But I remember seeing it and being like, okay, well, I want to see it, I guess, just so I can make up my mind about it. The thing is, if the movie's good, if the movie's successful, then it doesn't matter what fandom says. Right? And so the movie was done in not by toxic fandom, but by toxic box office.
Yeah. Well, and he had a little implosion.
Which certainly didn't help. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he, like, the day the movie opens, he tweets like, "Hey, that movie sucks, and y'all suck, and everything sucks, and goodbye." Like, it's
kind of, yeah. I mean, he was like, you're never going to see my version. Something like that, right? Or this isn't my version or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
So worst possible timing. The movie tanks, and then of course, I mean, we talked about it. I mean, it was just a flaming turd every which way.
I don't remember one thing about that movie.
I remember basically nothing except that, like, Michael B. Jordan was probably the best thing about it. Only in that he was less bad than all the other things,
Right.
Right? But I think in terms of his career, I just think you can't break bad on your own movie like that. I don't think any studio feels like hiring on a potential hand grenade.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And last year he had that movie, the Capone movie, that I think went straight to video, or straight to on demand. And he went on like a rehab tour, to kind of.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that movie itself wasn't particularly good. And so I don't know. In a situation like Josh Trank, I just feel like there's a lot of factors there. I think number one, he went into the Fantastic Four being like, I'm going to make this I'm going to totally turn it around and make it my thing.
Right.
And I think to some extent, well, you got to dance with the girl you brung. You know what I mean? If you've been signed to make a Fantastic Four movie, you should make something that somewhat resembles whatever it is, right?
Right.
On the other hand, well, Fox, why did you hire him? There's like 8 things that went wrong before they even called action on that movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that sense of like directors getting plugged into blockbusters and losing their individuality. I mean that happens, but I don't know how you get away from that. I mean that's just how this industry works.
Yeah. And I thinking of My Cousin Vinny again. Mm-hmm. Like I wish people could make their indie movie and then they get to make their Batman and then they get to make My Cousin Vinny or something. Like that's a terrible example because that makes absolutely no sense. What I'm trying to say is Christopher Nolan gets to make Batman Begins and then he makes whatever he did after that, The Prestige, right? Sure. He gets to make Dark Knight, then he gets to make his Inception, which is his small movie for Christopher Nolan. Then he gets to make Dark Knight Rises. You know what I mean? Like I wish they still got to do that one for me, one for you thing. And then they wouldn't get all their edges shaved off and become bitter people and
Yeah, but I mean I get what you're saying. I just feel like for Christopher Nolan, Batman Begins was a one for me movie.
Oh, for sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to discount that movie. That's not exactly what I'm saying. I hope after Eternals, Chloe Zhao gets to make No Man's Land 2.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then she'll go make Wonder Woman 5. Like that's fine. And then I hope she makes The Rider 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just want them to keep telling the stories that they have in their minds that are very personal for them.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this with Tim Burton the other day because Edward Scissorhands has been on TV a lot. And I was like, man, I want another Edward Scissorhands from Tim Burton. And not a sequel. I just want another completely Tim Burton personal story.
Right.
And then go make Alice in Wonderland 2. That's fine. And then, but I want both.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and using Burton as an example, right? Like Batman Returns is a Tim Burton movie through and through. Right? He made the movie. That was a one for him movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's the trick. I mean, I think somebody like Josh Trank, if he had been more pleasant to deal with, he would have opportunities right now.
That is a big part of it. Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact. Like if you stumble, but you're pleasant and they don't have to babysit you, you'll find other work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't there some article that came out that was documenting him? It might have even been one of...
It was like the interview with him. It was like part of his...
Yeah, and he was talking about how combative he would be and like, watch what I'm going to do. And he would just try to ruffle feathers. And it's like...
Yeah, and that's a very like straight out of film school mentality.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm here to make art, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, rarely does that ever work unless you're, like a Kubrick or something, because no one's going to want to work with a guy who's just going to make everything harder and more expensive.
Look, film production, TV production, any of these media production industries. I mean, I can speak from my own experience as a writer. Look, the money people are going to look at you as the solution to their problems or the cause of their problems. Mm-hmm. That's it, right? If they're like I was reading a thing the other day about it was an interview with the DP of Solo, a Star Wars story.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
And he was talking about how when that shift happened, he had been signed on with Lord and Miller, and then Ron Howard comes on, and he stayed on with him. And he's like, man, Ron Howard, he was so great, so easy to deal with, blah, blah. And I was like, that's why Ron Howard will never stop working.
Yeah,
because Ron Howard is the guy you go to, and he's going to solve your problems. And even something like Solo, the first ever Star Wars flop,
right?
It didn't do any damage to Ron Howard's career.
Right.
Why? Because he was the guy who came in at the 11th hour and the ship was sinking and he got it to float. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things. Like, look, in any of these creative industries, you're either the cause of the problem or you're the solution to the problem.
Yeah.
I think, he obviously Chronicle comes out and it lights a lot of fires.
Yeah.
And so you can understand he'd start thinking he's hot shit.
Right.
A comparable situation is David Fincher. who
Sure.
his first feature was Alien 3, but he came at that having done music videos and made a name for himself as a very successful music video director.
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes on to Alien 3, this big franchise, another Fox movie, by the way. So you got to applaud them for at least taking these chances.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he just got his ass kicked all over the schoolyard.
Mm-hmm.
And to some extent, the fact that that experience broke him as much as it did is what allowed for the David Fincher that we know to happen.
Sure. And he still sounds pretty wounded from that.
Yeah, can you
He
blame
doesn't
him?
like talking about Alien 3.
I mean, it's like Lynch on Dune, you know?
Right.
You bring in these guys, and you can understand, right? Because from their perspective, they're like, well, you've seen my reel.
Right.
So, like, why would you hire me to not do the thing I do?
Right.
Which I'm sure that's what David Lynch was thinking on Dune.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that, I don't know. I don't know the solution. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely... Josh Trank is just one of a very long lineage of these directors where sort of have some kind of unique vision, and they're just plugged into some of these properties that maybe are not a good match.
Yeah.
Let's take another break, and we will talk some headlines. So, hey, Brian.
Yes.
You know,
Zachy?
there's a new Space Jam movie coming out.
I've heard.
It's kind of interesting to me. I think this shows sort of our weird demographic where, like, people younger than us are absolutely ecstatic about this movie.
Yeah, I found that with some coworkers who are a little younger than me. This was a real moment for them, Space Jam 1. And so, they still have the shirts or a hat or something like that. And I go, oh, I mean, I remember it, but I just didn't.
Like,
It didn't make.
I
an
have
impression on me.
no ill feelings towards the first one.
No, same. I don't even know. I probably haven't seen it since VHS in like the middle 90s.
The big, like, white case, those
Yeah,
clamshell
right.
cases.
Right.
I've seen it multiple times only because of my kids. But yeah, I mean, definitely. But I remember watching it in the theater, and obviously, us being from Chicago is probably maybe a slightly bigger deal.
Yeah. Well, it had a lot going for it at that time because it was like middle 90s, so I was like a teenager. But it was obviously Jordan because we're from Chicago, and then Looney Tunes was huge. Like for some reason in the 90s, they just blew up.
It is pretty funny to think about the fact that Michael Jordan does like a 30-second Nike commercial featuring Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
And somebody in the marketing department's like, we need 89 more minutes of that, you know?
Yeah. I think it was Jordan's agent, actually.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm totally like, oh, let's see what the movie looks like. I'm sure, I'm seeing a lot of people have various opinions about whether LeBron can act. And I'm like, it's not like Jordan was Laurence Olivier, you know? Right.
Yeah.
Let's play some basketball. You guys are my best friends. I'm just pulling the string on the talking Michael Jordan doll.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, people are upset, Brian, and it's not for the reasons you think. It was just revealed today that Pepe Le Pew will no longer be in Space Jam 2.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And apparently, there was some New York Times op-ed about Pepe Le Pew, right?
Yes,
Recently or something.
Yeah, that's right. Charles M. Blow wrote a piece talking about how Pepe Le Pew promotes rape culture.
Right, and I don't know. I get it. He's definitely problematic.
I was about to say, like,
Yeah.
it's easy to dig in and be like, come on, it's just a cartoon skunk.
Yeah.
Which that's sort of my first inclination. But on the other hand, I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, well, yeah, I mean, that character like acts in a way that's like if an actual flesh and blood person did it, we'd have some issues with that.
Yeah. I'm not someone who always agrees with these things when they're brought up, but I would say in this instance, you also have to think about what who the audience is.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about modeling and
Right.
the characters that they're watching and what they're picking up. So I totally get it. And
What's funny, Brian,
Yeah.
is that there was a Dave Chappelle routine like 20 years ago where he talked about exactly this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like Pepe Le Pew. He's just a rapist. He's like, I was watching these Looney Tunes with my nephew, and he Pepe Le Pew's doing something, and his nephew's like, see, sometimes you just got to take it. He's like, no.
Oh, wow. So, well, there you go.
Right?
Exhibit A.
Now, obviously, it's a comedy routine, but I mean,
Of
this
course.
has been out there in the ether for a while, right?
Yeah.
So apparently there was the film switched directors, which I didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So under the original director, they had actually shot a scene where Pepe Le Pew is hitting on this girl, and essentially LeBron James is like, "Dude, you can't act like that."
Right. Not in the within the film.
Right. So it was, in other words, it was Pepe Le Pew getting his comeuppance.
Yes, by LeBron James in the film. Like they're calling it out in the movie.
In the film. So once the new director came on, that was one of those scenes that made it to the cutting room floor. And apparently the live action actress who was in that scene is actually kind of upset because she liked the message of that. But
right.
Just to be clear, I'm kind of like, look, leave it out, put it in. I don't really care. But I'm more like the conversation is so overheated around this.
Yeah.
Where everything becomes a political football.
Yeah.
Like when you have people, talking heads on news channels being like, they are trying to cancel Pepe Le Pew.
I know.
Like, guys, glad there's nothing else going on in the world that's, relevant to any of this,
Yeah. I can't, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously I haven't seen the scene, but maybe there's something good about if they watch Space Jam 1 and see him behaving a certain way, and in 2 it's like, no, we don't do that.
Right.
Maybe there's something healthy about that. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, obviously we would need to know fully, like, what maybe the scene wasn't cut for any content reasons. Maybe it just wasn't working.
Yeah, because that was something I read too. It was cut. People had screened this months ago, and it wasn't in there. They had already decided to take it out. Yeah. So this wasn't a response to anything.
So it was probably, the director switch. It just didn't fit the ethos. But the Space Jam controversies don't end there, Brian.
Oh.
Because Lola Bunny. Remember Lola Bunny?
I do.
Remember the way she shows up and all the other cartoons start drooling over her?
Yes, and which is funny because I don't remember this from when I first saw it, but I know it has since she's become some sort of sexy bunny icon.
I mean, in essence, yeah. So Lola Bunny, I mean, that was like her first appearance. And then since then, she was in the Looney Tunes show. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And she was voiced by Kristen Wiig. It was very funny.
So funny. That's a great show, by the way.
Super, super good. I think it's on HBO Max. So if
I would love to watch that again. It's basically Seinfeld.
Exactly. It's like what if Bugs and Daffy were in a sitcom world?
Yeah.
Very funny. So now, of course, Lola is in Space Jam 2, and they've redesigned her. So Brian, she doesn't have boobs anymore.
Well, yeah. She's been she was sort of like the Jessica Rabbit-esque, curves, hourglass figure sort of character, right, in the 90s, and then they've tried to just turn her into more of a normal I was going to say normal body. What am I talking about? I'm talking about a cartoon bunny. But you understand what I'm saying. They were trying to desexualize her.
Right. So people, again,
she's still feminine, by the way, but they've desexualized her.
Exactly. So she doesn't look all va-va-voom. Mm-hmm. And so you got people online who are like, well, if I can't masturbate to Lola Bunny anymore, what's the point of anything? That's basically the conversation. Which, like,
what world are we living in, man?
Seriously.
Yeah. Anyway,
and it's just funny to me because I'm like, nobody's like, how come we can't see Bugs Bunny's wang? Like, it's weird how, like, the desire for anatomical approximation only leans towards one gender.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, again, I saw the new design for Lola Bunny, and it didn't even occur to me. I was like, the difference didn't really, like, register. I was like, oh, it's Lola Bunny, and then I see, like, no. Apparently, it's a trending topic.
Is it really?
Well, it was a couple days ago.
Yeah. Now I'm looking at this picture of her now. It's from Entertainment Weekly, and it's her high-fiving LeBron. It looks like mid-game, and she's adorable. It's so cute. Like,
isn't that all you want?
Uniform. She looks fine. I don't know. But yeah, it's I don't even know. I don't even know what to say.
I will say this is the other thing because the characters are digital now.
Right. Not the 2D. Like
Yeah,
they were in the
so
90s.
following SpongeBob's example, they're now CGI, and I don't know. I saw the picture. I was like, oh, okay, that looks fine. But apparently, again, this is another thing people are upset about, and I'm like, God, progress look, CGI is here to stay. I mean, if digitally rendering Bugs Bunny allows these characters to remain alive, I don't really see a problem.
Yeah, I'm on the page I'm on. I'm only seeing this one with Lola Bunny and LeBron, and they actually look like they're in the same room. So I think that works for me.
I don't. Do you remember it was like a reinvention of Looney Tunes, like maybe 15 years ago, called Lunatics?
The edgy one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember what they look like. I never saw it.
It was. They had an original design. It was called Lunatics Unleashed, and so you had, instead of Bugs Bunny, it was like his future descendant called Buzz Bunny. And
wait, what year is this from? Is this from when like nu metal was big?
It was like maybe 10 years too late for that, you know?
Okay.
This is like 2004, 2005, something like that. And the original design for Buzz Bunny was a goddamn horror show.
Yeah.
Kids are gonna have nightmares, you know. And apparently, and I'm not making this up, the name Buzz Bunny, it turned out there's like a vibrator with the same name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're like, oh, we should probably change that. And so they changed I think he was Ace Bunny after that.
Oh, funny.
And they made the designs like slightly less horrifying. But I'm like, only in the marketing suite of these corporations do you say, hey, let's take the Looney Tunes and make them into futuristic superheroes that shoot laser beams out of their eyes and stuff, because that's the key to their appeal.
Isn't it funny? And then it always comes back to their essence, and everyone's happy.
That's true.
You know what's interesting though? Did you read the plot of this?
Of Space Jam 2?
Yeah.
Isn't it like the Warner Brothers multiverse or something?
Yeah. So the first one, a bunch of star athletes, right? It's like an Aliens versus Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes basketball game.
Right.
And then this one apparently has something to do with trying to steal LeBron James's like followers or something on social media. But anyway, it ends up with them in a server. And yeah, it's like the Warner Brothers server. So they're hopping in and out of the Matrix and Warner Brothers related properties. Which, it's funny because that sounds so commercial and whatnot. But on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Actually, that sounds kind of fun. Right? I like the movies I know and whatever, and see the Looney Tunes jumping around in there. I'm like, all right, sure. It doesn't sound like a basketball movie, but...
Well, all I know is I'm looking forward to 2046 when Space Jam 3 comes out. and it's this weird movie that's like a microcosm of what specifically is important in that year.
Yeah, with starring someone who hasn't even been born yet.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
I think this comes out this summer, right? It's going to be...
Yeah,
like
straight
June?
to HBO Max, though. Well, and theaters.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have more to talk about between if you would have told me 3 years ago this movie is actually going to be a thing, I wouldn't have. I think I said before, it feels like, because Ryan Coogler is one of the producers, it feels like one of those things he accidentally signed on to without realizing it.
Right.
Like, yeah, sure, whatever, Space
sure.
Jam 2, and then next thing you know, we need you on set tomorrow, you know.
Right.
Well, speaking of preserving the essence of characters, Brian, The Simpsons keeps on keeping on.
Yeah, they do.
They'll
never stop The Simpsons.
They'll never stop The Simpsons. Now, this is an interesting example of, obviously anybody who listens to the show knows how much those early years of The Simpsons have just like they're our source code.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In terms of who we are. Now,
it's
what
like in
have...
Jurassic Park when they're showing the DNA and there's gaps missing, so they fill it with frog DNA. For us, it's like those gaps were filled with Simpsons DNA.
It's true.
Yeah.
Right? And we generally sort of land at like between seasons 2 and 12 roughly as like the prime era. Maybe a little smaller, but roughly that, right?
Yeah, roughly that, yeah.
But, I mean, it has now been renewed for its 33rd and 34th season.
Unreal.
Right? So in other words, it's been not peak Simpsons if we use our criteria for far, far longer than it was peak Simpsons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But the thought I have, and I'm curious what you think, because you've said in the past there's like a loveless marriage, The Simpsons. I'm curious if your stance has softened. But my thought is, and I don't watch it regularly, but I dip in every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And any given episode, I'll usually laugh, like maybe a couple times. Mm-hmm. Like there will be like one or two good laughs, right?
Right.
But I'm kind of like, look, TV is not a charity. So if your show is into its 34th season, clearly people are watching it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? And that is what fascinates me. Mm-hmm. Like, because it feels like all we hear is like, oh man, that show stopped being good in like 2001. Mm-hmm. And yet here we are 20 years later and it is still going. So who's watching it if nobody's watching it?
Right. And I mean, when Disney Plus launched, that was one of its huge flagship offerings.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm looking at the stats here. So when all is said and done with this new renewal, they will have a total of 757 episodes. Right. So 34 seasons. And most shows are only good for about 6 seasons, maybe. And then 7, maybe. And so when you ask if I've softened, I definitely have. And I think I've never had this thought. I'm just having this thought right now. When you talked about Bugs Bunny being reinvented as Buzz Bunny, that's what's happening. That's how long The Simpsons have been around. I mean, you have the early 1930s Bugs Bunny who looks like this. And then you have the Tex Avery stuff. And then you have the 80s, whatever that is. And then you have the 90s where they were radical, or whatever, and playing with Michael Jordan. And then you have where they're these weird, pointy looking nightmares. And then they bring it back. Like, a lot of time and a lot of culture has gone by. Yeah. And the Looney Tunes have always been there to try to be a part of it. And I would say, I'm just realizing now that I guess you could say the same thing about The Simpsons. When they got into seasons 12, around there and a little onward, maybe even a little earlier, they got kind of mean. Yeah. They got a little sexist, and they got like things that they hadn't been before. Yeah. And I think that was a response to South Park.
Family Guy.
Yeah. Right? So they'd been around long enough that they were starting to shift with tides a little bit. And then, as I've heard, somewhere around 20 or something, they kind of brought it back to the heart for a little while. And I don't even know what it's like now, but it makes sense to me. I can't get mad at it. It's just time marches on. New people come in and out. And whatever we loved, those are the people that got the thing going. Yeah. But now you have people trying to carry it on and exist in the world as it is now. So it's just never going to be the thing that we fell in love with.
And maybe that's okay.
And that's okay. I'm happy they're still here, frankly.
I was thinking about that. I was like, when it ends, you'll be sad.
Oh, for sure. Right? I haven't watched them in years. And I will be sad when they leave. For sure.
It's funny to me because this is a thing that I share with my kids, and they jump around. We don't watch it consecutively. Sometimes we'll watch a season 27 episode. Sometimes we'll watch a season 8. Whatever. So they're aware of like, oh, these are the episodes. These earlier ones look like this. These ones look like this. But more importantly, like the characters. Like a couple weeks ago, the thing with Ted Cruz happened, where he took off instead of sticking around in Texas. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And my oldest, he's like, that's like something Mayor Quimby would do.
Right.
And I was like, they get, like, for them, they know all these characters. They know this world. And for them, they don't really know what separates season way down here versus season way over there. Yeah. There's, maybe...
That's interesting, yeah.
Right? Like, for them, it's all... Because they're jumping around. Mm-hmm. And it's all just Simpsons humor. Yeah. So other than the stylistic, like the animation looks a little this, to them the jokes are all the same. Yeah. Right? And then the other thought I have is, Simpsons is now Disney owned. Right. And so before you could say, well, Fox is keeping it on because of all the ancillary money that they make. Mm-hmm. Well, they ain't getting any of that now. Right. So, now you put all that to one side and you say, well, there's reason to keep it on. So obviously, it's paying off for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like people are still watching it. So I don't know. I think it is. Simpsons is like SNL,
Right.
where you just put it on and you know what you're getting.
Well, and it's evolved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been on for so long that it could never be the same thing.
Yeah, right.
You know?
So hey, they'll never stop the Simpsons, and maybe that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey, well, here's the thing, Brian. This is a weird sentence. The Last Action Hero is getting a 4K Ultra HD release.
Hey! You know what? I'm here for it. I was just telling you, a couple of years back, actually probably more than a couple, but this movie obviously is a little bit notorious. It was like a huge flop, but
It was kind of like Arnold's first big flop, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, if you read the oral history of it, I mean, they just went in with just brazen confidence and throwing money at this thing. It was the surest thing. Didn't they do something with space even?
Yes.
Some sort of thing where, like, I don't remember what it was, but something about, like, beaming the movie in space or something ridiculous. And then it was this humongous flop. So it was a huge sort of, you know,
well, it was the arrogance of
arrogance. That was the word. Yeah.
of thinking they could take on Jurassic Park.
Yes, yeah, hubris. That was the word I was searching for. Yeah. Yes, and it opened too close to Jurassic Park. And so, but I was 13 when it came out. Now, obviously, Jurassic Park is the movie that stuck with me my whole life. But I still remember thinking, like, yeah, that was fun. I don't know. I'm 13. Who cares? You know, like, I watched it and I moved on with my life.
Right.
But maybe about a decade ago or something, I wanted to watch it again just because I didn't remember it. I couldn't find it anywhere. So going out looking for the DVD, all I could find was a pan and scan DVD of this movie, which is obviously, I mean, shot by John McTiernan. So it's, you know, widescreen, lens flares, whatever. It looked like garble. Like you could not tell what was going on. So then when I saw this, I was like, hey, this movie finally is getting its due here.
Your ship has come in.
Yeah. I'll definitely check this out again.
I mean, I think it is a movie that has come to be appreciated in hindsight. Mm-hmm. It is obviously directed by John McTiernan, who did Predator, so it's his first time reteaming with Schwarzenegger. So I feel like whatever movie they set out to make was very different from what it ended up becoming through studio mechanics or whatever went in. But yeah, it has become one of these cult artifacts, which I feel like anything that like three people like is considered a cult artifact, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't know how beloved The Last Action Hero is.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't either.
yeah. I mean, it's funny because Jurassic Park, you have these two cult movies revolving around it. Like orbiting moons. You have the Super Mario Brothers movie on this side. And you got Last Action Hero on this side.
Yeah. And in my head, if I had to pick one to give the title cult to, I would probably go with Mario.
Mario, yeah.
But yeah.
That's like, I mean, the people who love that movie, they love that movie.
Yeah. You're friends with someone who had something to do with restoring it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, Ryan Haas. Yeah, he like the SMB archive. You can check it out. I mean, real dedicated fans of that movie, and we've talked about it. Like, you gotta appreciate how just completely balls out they went.
That film?
Yeah.
I watched it for the first time within the last 2 years or something, and it's crazy, and it kind of makes you mad if you wanted a Super Mario Brothers movie. However, what it is just nuts and really, really interesting to look at.
Yeah, so in that vein, I mean, Last Action Hero, I think separate from all the hype and the, will it beat Jurassic Park, I think you've got an interesting peak Arnold movie that actually says something interesting about, I mean, it's fairly self-aware in terms of Arnold's place in sort of the pecking order at that moment.
That's interesting.
You know, I mean, he's lampooning his own persona, you know?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I will say Austin O'Brien, who played the kid in that movie, is like really not a very good actor, unfortunately. And
I don't really... I remember him being fine. I don't know. I don't remember.
I mean, he's a kid. It's not his fault, but
Yeah. Well, he's certainly not the most lacking child actor I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with you there. But it's been long enough since I've revisited this that when you say, "Ooh, it's gonna get like a 4K upgrade," I'm kind of like, "All right, maybe it's time."
Yeah, there's something about McTiernan that just doesn't translate well to SD.
Yes.
With whatever, it's like the way his movies are lit or something like that. And I love the look of his movies. Like, I mean, think of, Die Hard for one, but, Hunt for October or something. And you can picture it in a 4:3 SD, and it just looks like fuzz. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And,
and in that vein, I associate him with, like, film grain.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my point, yeah.
And like, so the digital era... I guess it's not that surprising that he's kind of fallen out of favor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I certainly think what he's shot is beautiful.
Yes.
It's just there hasn't been the means to view them the way they should be seen.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I enjoy each. Like Red October actually has been on cable a lot.
Oh, so good! It looks beautiful.
Looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So yeah. I'm interested just for the visuals of this film to see it all cleaned up.
Here's hoping it's good.
Yeah.
I remember the action figures of Last Action Hero, which were quite plentiful on the remaindered shelves, like 2 years later. But what I remember most is, like, at that time, I don't think I'd ever seen action figures sculpted to look so much like the actor. And I was like, man, that is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because usually, like, you remember old Star Wars figures, they barely looked like anybody.
It's like, man.
Yeah,
in Han Solo's clothes.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I guess you squint your eyes. You're like, I guess that's Han Solo.
Yeah.
But these are like, oh wow, that's Jack Slater. But the problem with that toy line was it was like 18 different Jack Slaters.
Oh really?
And like basically no villains because it's the movie. I mean, the villain is like Charles Dance in a suit.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really
right.
Can't really do much, But there we go. Last Action Hero 4K. So for the 4 of you who are excited about that, there's a K. There's a K for each of you.
I was like, is that me and 3 other people, or is that us and 2 other people?
I think that's it. Just 2 more.
Yeah,
that's it. Sorry.
Let's go, everyone.
Here's one last piece of news, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
They are bringing back Frasier. Frasier's coming back.
Wow, they're all back, baby.
It is the age of first Punky Brewster,
right?
Well, not first, but like 18th Punky Brewster.
Right. I mean, we had Murphy Brown of all things, and Mad About You, and it's
but what's kind
just things you wouldn't expect. Like you would think at the top of those lists would be something like Friends or
right,
but it's they've dug deep.
Well, and I mean, this all started with. Well, it started with Fuller House, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, we forget, which like came and I mean that had a run and it's done, so that was a success.
Yeah.
And then the Connors, which started as the Roseanne Revival, that's still going and it's still pretty successful.
See, I didn't even name the most popular ones. I named the obscure ones that were only on the Spectrum network.
Right. Because they did like the Mad About You reunion show.
Yeah.
Which I think is done now. Like, nobody talked about it, right?
No, and like I said, I mean, I think that literally was on Spectrum, like, streaming.
That's right.
I mean, you'd have to have a service.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
That said, Saved by the Bell. That's pretty good. That's coming back for a second season.
Yeah.
But Frasier, which one of the most successful sitcoms of all time, starring one of the most popular sitcom characters of all time.
Yeah.
So that feels like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can lightning strike thrice?
Thrice. Yeah, I mean,
character.
Not once, not twice, but thrice. So Cheers lasted for 11 years. You do the spin-off, and inexplicably the spin-off manages to match the number of years Cheers lasted. And I think in terms of awards, it beat it.
Wow.
So that's pretty rarefied air.
You know what's cool about that too is that it's an entirely different concept.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't just try to put like a little spin on the thing that had already happened. They just took that character, put him in his own universe, new characters, new locations. It's pretty amazing that it worked like it did.
Well, what's crazy is that they went into the spinoff specifically with that in mind. They were like, we don't want to redo Cheers. So even like, in the show, which you've watched a few episodes of Frasier, right?
Frasier, yeah.
They hang out in like this coffee shop. Mm-hmm. And they deliberately were like, no bar stools in the coffee shop.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Like, we don't want to even allude to that.
Right.
Which is smart. And yeah, Cheers, obviously, it's like a workplace comedy. This is a family comedy, so they did a lot of stuff right. And I think it helps, obviously, that it really was, you said lightning in a bottle. I mean, they got great lead actor, great supporting cast. It just worked. So the fact that it lasted as well as it did says something. And here's a little peek into the way Zacky's mind works. When I go to sleep, I need to listen to something just as like white noise. So I put in my AirPods and I play Frasier episodes while I sleep.
I get that. It's like little radio shows.
It is like listening to a radio show. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
So that's just been part of my routine for a long time now.
Yeah.
But
I
regardless,
think you're the one who kind of got me into it, actually.
Is that right?
I would watch it when I hang out with you.
How funny! Wow. Well, I'm glad to have been a part of that.
Yeah.
So they've been talking about a Frasier reboot for a little while. It is now official. It is coming back by way of Paramount Plus.
Oh, that's interesting. So not NBC.
Well, yeah, because the show was produced by Paramount.
Okay.
So it makes sense that they would want to, Paramount Plus being brand new and trying to get some marquee names there.
Yep.
I feel like a Frasier reboot would be the type of thing to get people to subscribe to that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So this, I don't know. I mean, obviously, from the time the show ended, which, by the way, it's been, 17 years since Frasier ended?
Wow.
Frasier and Friends, they both ended, like, the same month.
Oh, really?
If not the same week. And it was totally one of those things where everyone was talking about the Friends finale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
and people
that.
just kind of skip past the fact that Frasier, which is just as accomplished a sitcom, if not more so.
Yeah, oh, that's kind of a bummer.
It got overshadowed.
Yeah.
Like you remember when Cheers ended.
Yeah.
What a cultural moment that was.
Mm-hmm. Like Seinfeld.
I feel like it was Cheers, Seinfeld, and Friends were like the finales.
Yeah.
And Frasier, like, I mean, again, it he got off the battlefield with his boots on. Nobody can say otherwise.
Sure.
But the finale was overshadowed, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, the show has continued to perform both in syndication and in streaming. I think I myself, while sleeping, have accounted for millions of streams
Right.
of the show. So they're bringing it back now. Now, John Mahoney has died in the interim. He played Frasier's dad, and so the question is like, what does this new Frasier look like? 17 years later, like, do you think there's an audience for it?
I would think so.
For streaming, yes. For streaming.
And all these things. I see, that's part of me is like, well, maybe even I would put that on network. Personally. But, I understand the wanting to get people drawn over to your service.
That's actually a good point. Like how does, like, at one point, Kelsey Grammer was the highest paid actor on TV. How do the economics work for a streaming series? Like, he can't, right? Like, I don't think he can ask for what he was making before.
See, I don't understand this either, because I saw that Coming to America was the highest streamed movie since the pandemic started.
Yeah.
But what does it all mean, Zachy? What does it all mean?
True.
I mean, I don't know. What does that mean in terms of money for everyone?
Right. Like, if you've got profit points tied up in that, how does that work?
Yeah, well, certainly that for the cast and all those sorts of types who would, profit from that. But also, how much do you pay for a movie like that? How much is it worth to you? I mean, are you hoping that it will expand your amount of subscribers and so it's worth spending a little more because you might make a little more? Or is it just going to keep eyeballs where they are so you're spending a lot of money, but you're still keeping the income the same that it was with the amount of subscribers? Like, it's a whole new metric that obviously is not going anywhere, so they're going to have to figure that out. But I don't quite understand how that works.
I mean, think about this. Amazon paid for coming to America. They paid $125 million for it. Right?
Wow. Which, by the way, I mean, that was supposed to go to theaters. Like,
Right.
This wasn't made for Prime. But, yeah.
So, in other words, they paid, like, let's be generous and say they paid the projected domestic gross of that movie
Sure.
to release it. I think it probably would have landed around there. What do you think? Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair.
But how do they make that back? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, are people going to be like, ooh, coming to America, I need to subscribe to Amazon Prime?
Yeah, and some may. Like I just saw also this morning that Disney Plus has reached 100 million subscribers, which I'm sure is thanks obviously to Mandalorian, which has been around, but now WandaVision, and we've got the Falcon and Winter Soldier thing happening. Or so I mean, people are continuing to arrive, but can it remain in droves?
Yeah, like at what point do you hit critical mass?
Exactly, and then when you're spending over $100 million on a movie, are you making money? I'm sure they've got spreadsheets about this, but yeah.
Well, that is a conversation. So for the Frasier reboot, like I said, it's coming to Peacock, which I'm assuming. Sorry, not Peacock.
Paramount. Yeah.
Paramount Plus. Sorry, which I'm assuming part of the calculation is to drive traffic to the legacy series, like the original ones,
Right.
Cheers, Frasier, etc. Even though, I mean, those are available everywhere. So
Yeah, you know what's so funny? This is how sometimes I can be super cynical and sometimes I'm like super naive with the Fresh Prince reunion.
yeah.
For me, I was like, oh, that's lovely. It's an anniversary and I love these guys and I like seeing them together. But now you just made me realize that was probably only to draw attention to the fact that HBO had the series.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, on their service.
Exclusively, I think.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So that's coming. I'm excited. I am a big fan of that original series, so I hope the new Frasier lives up to it.
Yeah, same.
Let's take another break. We'll come back and talk about the finale of WandaVision. And hey, it's always nice to come back and have a spoiler wall conversation.
I agree. I agree.
We get to do these so rarely these days.
I know.
So WandaVision has ended its 9-episode run as of this recording. It's just a couple days old. And we have many thoughts. It's we've spent a couple weeks talking about it, but now we can view the show in toto. Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like you're maybe a tougher sell for this type of stuff.
Sure.
So I'm curious because the reaction has been somewhat polarizing to the finale.
Right.
So I'm curious. Where did you land? Maybe give your non-spoiler reaction, and then we can get into it.
Mm-hmm. I'm a little confused by the polarization. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
I'm sort of like, what? Well, I can answer this actually, but I was going to say, what did you think was going to happen? I think people were building up all this sort of speculation about all these sorts of, fan theories, which is understandable. But it ended exactly how I thought it was going to end. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I was surprised to see that people who had been liking it didn't like the ending.
Right.
Not everybody, but the people who did. Yeah, I would say I was like, I was positive on it overall. It was one of those things where I never found myself very emotionally involved with anything that was actually going on. It was more of a fun observation for me.
Sure.
And I don't even mean that as a criticism. That was just my personal experience. But I just enjoyed having a show in this universe to watch each week. I thought Olsen and Bettany were fun and had great performances. And it was fun cotton candy for me every Friday. So
I think that's a pretty good non-spoiler reaction.
Yeah. How about for you?
No, yeah, I've enjoyed it all along. And I mean, granted, anyone who listens to this podcast knows I am an easy lay when it comes to MCU stuff.
Yeah.
At this point, this many years in, it's just a universe I enjoy going back to.
Yeah.
It is like Star Wars in that sense for me. Like, hey, here's a thing in this place that I like. Yeah, I wanna go.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, let's talk about the reaction first, right? First of all, there's the people who are like, oh, I was speculating about X, Y, and Z happening, and X, Y, and Z did not happen, and therefore this movie is a failure, or this series is a failure. And I'm kind of like, well, that's stupid.
right.
It's not their fault that your stupid idea didn't make it into right, because a lot of these ideas were dumb. Okay, I'm just gonna say that.
I've only seen. Well, I know some people. Well, I guess all right. I won't say it. Spoilers. But some of it, I was like, all right, I can kind of see what they were saying. I may not have been privy to a lot of the more nuanced.
Okay.
Wishes. I don't know. There's a couple I was like, yeah, I could see what you thought might happen, but I'm not surprised at all that it didn't.
Here's the thing. I think the role of any story, any film like this, regardless of whether it's a franchise or not, is first and foremost it has to be true to itself.
Yeah.
And then within that, if it's doing things that feed the franchise, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But if in being true to itself, it chooses not to focus on the franchise aspects as much, well, that is not a failure, except in the minds of people who want the franchise more than the individual thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that seems to be one of the criticisms.
Yeah.
That are lobbied at these movies. So it's kind of nice that you think more people would be happy that this thing was its own thing and true to itself.
So it's a thumbs up from me. That's not a big surprise. But in terms of why it's a thumbs up, maybe we can get into that on the other side of the spoiler wall.
Let's do it.
Spoilers.
So over the course of 9 weeks, I mean, we start out with, when the show starts, it's the big sitcom tableau. Mm-hmm. And I think for the first, whatever it is, for the first 5-6 episodes, it's doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And
pretty heavily, too. I mean, the first couple episodes are strictly like pastiches.
You don't even know what's going on.
A little bit of static at the end where you're like, huh?
Right.
It's pretty bold.
And not just that. I mean, you got to appreciate how they went all in on these sitcoms. Like, the Malcolm in the Middle episode is a Malcolm in the Middle episode, you know?
I know.
And it's really well done, you know? And same
right down to the lenses that they were using. I mean, I remember there was that one shot of her brother on the couch.
Yes.
And the camera's right in his face with the people behind him. I'm like, that is Malcolm in the Middle.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's clearly, like, it was a labor of love.
Yeah.
In that, right? And so on the, you know, you have people who are like, ooh, this is something that we haven't seen in Marvel. And then some people were getting upset that then we pull out of the sitcom world and we sort of see what's going on, right? And I'm like, well, it is Marvel. Like, it's set in the Avengers universe. Did you not think we'd, like, have an explanation for this, you know?
Right.
And so there's like two schools of critique, both of which I scratch my head at. One, it's the people who are like, oh, well, I thought that this was going to be like this introspective meditation on grief, and I didn't think it would be like a bunch of explosions and people showing, you know, shooting colored beams at each other. And I'm like, you can not like that stuff, and that's fine. I think I'm, you know, it can. We instead of a blue sky beam, we got a red sky beam. I get that critique, but I'm like, it is Marvel, like that. You're gonna be in the neighborhood of that,
right?
That's what this is.
Yeah.
Right. And then on the other end, you got people who are like, I thought that, you know, it was gonna end with the. Like, why didn't the Fantastic Four show up? Or like, I wanted Magneto or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, because that's not what this is.
Right.
Right? So as usual, we've got these two ridiculous poles of a conversation, whereas I think the majority of people are coming away, like you, Brian, like, well, no, that was like a satisfying, you know, piece of escapism. There was some moments of, you know, lucidity, you know, like...
I liked, well, real quick, I do want to say, for the people who had a lot of speculation, I do understand with Pietro being recast.
Yes.
I understand how that opened a door in some people's minds to possibilities. So that's why I'm like, I see why you thought that.
I mean, I do, but my question is, does that reveal ruin the show?
Yeah, see, well, I would say no.
I would say no,
but
too.
I just do want to acknowledge that I understand why some people's imaginations started to wander with that. But that said, yeah, I mean, now that we're past the spoiler wall, I mean, it ended exactly how I thought it was going to end. You
Yeah.
know, like from episode 1, I was like, she's doing it.
Right.
She's going to have to let it go, and then it'll be over. you know?
Totally, right? I'm with you. Like, I was like, well, they did some stuff with, and by the way, I can't remember if we said this on mic last time or before we got on mic, but I was like, Bettany has been teasing a cameo, and he's talking about himself, and everybody's going to be pissed off.
Yes, that's true.
I can't remember if we said this on the show, but Brian, you're my witness that we for sure had that conversation.
Yes, we talked about that, yeah.
He's like, oh man, people are going to be mad. They find out it's me. I was like, I was right.
Right.
And
Yeah. Wait, can I say something real quick too?
Yeah.
The statement I just said, I want to clarify because that sounded really glib. I'm like, I knew it from episode 1, and it'll all be over, and I did. However, that's not what it's about. It's about the journey. And did I enjoy the journey? Did I feel anything along the way? You know, and like I said, I mean, I wasn't like invested in this like I have been in some other shows, but did I care? And like, of course I cared, and I felt bad that she was pushed to conjure this whole wish to life, and she was hurting other people doing it. And so she eventually had to let it go, and it never was real, but it was real to her, and like that's sad, you know. So I realized what I said just sounded very easy, but like no, I thought it was much more complicated than that, and the journey to get to her eventually having to let go, that's whether the show succeeds or not. And I thought the show succeeded in making me feel bad for her and understanding what she was doing, why she did it. She wasn't necessarily right to do it. She hurt a lot of people, you know, but that's what makes it interesting.
I think for me, like it felt fairly, when the show started, you know, especially given the pieces of the puzzle that are given in the early episodes, you're kind of like, okay, well, it sure feels like Vision is a construct of her mind.
Right.
And it feels like it's leading up to her having to let him go. So I agree with you in that sense. Like it wasn't particularly that eventuality wasn't particularly surprising, but I felt like that moment when she does say goodbye to him, it's, you know, he's like, what am I, Wanda? You know, and she's like, you are the piece of the Mind Stone that lives in me, and your bones and blood that I created, and you're my love, right? And I found that moment just beautiful. It was so, I saw it twice, and the second time it actually got me emotional. Her the way she's saying that, and part of that was because I realized, you know, he's not real. She's telling that to herself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
She
For me,
has
it was with the kids actually. Tucking the kids into bed.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's, you know, I mean, so all that stuff worked to me within the confines of this universe. And that's, you know, when you have people who are like, oh, why did it end with, you know, explodey this and that and the other thing? And I'm like, well, to me, that when you complain about that, it's like maybe this stuff just isn't for you then.
I think that's totally fair, actually.
Right? Like, you know, you said it's all cotton candy, and I'll take that a little bit further. I'll be like, this is like the MCU is like a restaurant.
Yeah.
And you have X number of menu items.
Yeah.
But if you go into the restaurant and you're like, hey, why aren't you guys changing my car's oil? Right? They'd be like, well, we don't do that here. Right?
Right.
Like, you can't get upset about that. It's like, well, you have all these menu items, but they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
That to me is the MCU.
Sure.
You know? So in that sense, I mean, relative to Infinity War, I said this in my review, I'm like, this is my dinner with Andre compared to Infinity War. Right? I mean, it's extremely contained, literally. And yeah, you have like the pyrotechnics and stuff, but that's just part of that's you know, that's your ticket to ride. That's what comes with it. So yes, there is the stuff that has to play to the franchise, but think about it. I think we said this before, but I'm like, this is a story. This would not have been a movie.
Yeah. Right.
It just straight full stop. This as it existed would not have been a movie, not merely because of the length, but also the approach. And so I'm like, if the streaming format allows us to get something like this, which is a little, I was going to say deep dive, but it's not a deep dive, but it's a slightly deeper look at sort of the you know, the psychology of these characters, why not? Right?
I love it. I think it's fantastic. And then I think now I'm going to carry this experience into the next film where they won't have the time to dive into Wanda like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's obviously, and the other thing, in addition to setting up Doctor Strange, which is coming, I think that's her next appearance, it also adds value to Age of Ultron, which is generally looked on not particularly favorably.
Yeah, you know, it was the commentary that you and I did that sort of turned me around on that movie. You know, nice. I never disliked it, but it was one that I just didn't think about very much.
Yeah.
And revisiting it, I was like, oh, that's a pretty good movie.
I mean, I think it helps knowing that is just one cog in this big machine.
Yeah.
And I think that's just these Marvel things now. You know, each thing has to pay certain things forward. Mm-hmm. And you're either down with it or you're not. I mean, I think after 13 years, people have sort of figured out, well, that's what all this is.
Right.
So, like, this thing ends, and you've got, like, 3 or 4 pieces that need to play out. Mm-hmm. In the Monica Rambeau thing.
Right.
Which is pointing towards Captain Marvel 2, I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. Because that was the first credit scene, right? I'm trying to think. Yes. You watched the credit scenes, right?
Yeah. Oh, on the last episode. Yeah.
Because it ends with a Skrull is like, oh, he wants to see you.
Right.
Which
Where?
I think I'm fairly certain is a reference to Nick Fury, I think, right? Up there.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's Captain Marvel 2. And then at the end, we have Wanda astral projecting while her physical body's doing stuff.
Right.
So to me, what that says, without saying it, is that she is far more powerful than Doctor Strange.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange, in his movie, we see like his body is sleeping while his astral form is reading and doing all that.
But she can pat her head and rub her tummy at the same time.
There you go. She's like drinking tea, just living her best life while her astral self is going through the evil book, the Darkhold.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, a thing from the comics.
Oh, so I was going to ask you about that. So how much of this did you... I know you said this is sort of a riff on things that have come before, so it's not directly based on anything. But I mean, the characters of Agnes and all these people. I mean, how familiar were you with this and the White Vision and all that? I mean, does this sort of line up a little bit with what's happened before?
It is. It's basic. It's a remix of about 4 or 5 different comic storylines that they put together, right? So yeah, so Agnes, aka Agatha Harkness. So she is a witch. She's not a villain in the comics. She's much older, and she is she's like Wanda's teacher. So she teaches her how to use her witch ability. So at least based on this, they've flipped that and just made her a straight up villain. But the idea of Wanda like recreating reality because of her own trauma, that's actually born out. There's a couple different comic storylines that did that. There's one called House of M. Where essentially at the time in the comics, I think they've retconned it since then, but she and Quicksilver are the children of Magneto.
Right.
So she changes reality, the entire world, so that it's the empire of M, meaning Magneto, and basically the mutants are the dominant species, and humans are treated the way humans treat mutants.
Okay.
And everybody, like, they're kind of like in WandaVision, like the people who are all in this, like they don't remember their previous life.
Okay.
In that storyline,
cool I like this. It's
a remix. Yeah, I mean it's like the whole planet. And in that story, if I recall, and somebody who's listening might correct me, but you have Wolverine, who, like Wolverine, because of he's had his mind erased so many times. Like his like mutant healing factor is able to get him back to what's real.
Right.
So his mind like heals whatever Wanda has done. So he's like, hey, this isn't right. Like, what the hell's going on here? And he has to like figure it out. So it's kind of, in essence, he's sort of like the Monica Rambeau character in this.
Yeah, right. I like that. You're making me realize something, by the way, too, having just talked about Star Wars. Because like I said, when I said the cotton candy thing, that wasn't like a pejorative. Like I meant that in a good way because I like fun food. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's funny because I'm not bringing all of this in like you are, where you can know like, oh, that's a riff on that. Oh, that's a twist on that. But if I were watching some sort of Star Wars series and they're like, yeah, I just got back from a 2-week stint on Bespin, I'd be like, yeah, Bespin. You know what I mean? Like, like I'm bringing that giddy excitement into that universe. And so I think, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm like, yeah, I enjoy what I'm watching, but like I can only imagine for lifelong fans like you and all these other people, just how much more they're bringing to this and getting out of it.
Well, and to that point, like me personally, I like seeing little nods to the comics, but I don't expect chapter and verse of the comics.
Right.
And I,
which is good, yeah.
I guess that's good because they're doing their own thing, and so it's like little touches, like you mentioned White Vision. Like, yeah, that was a comic storyline. I think in I want to say like 90. 89, I think, where essentially the government captures the Vision and deconstructs him. Mm-hmm. And so it's a scene just like in the episode, I think it's episode, was it like 8, I think, of this, where we see, right, where she sees him deconstructed. I mean, literally, that's like right out of the comics. There's a scene like that where he's just a bunch of pieces, and it's like kind of horrifying, right?
Right.
And so he's rebuilt in that white configuration, very similar to what we see in this, and it's the same thing. He's an automaton,
right?
So he has everything that he's experienced exists as data in his mind, but he has no emotional connection to it,
right? So
he is a true robot. So that's sort of where Vision is at the end of this series. Like he, the Wanda created Vision gives him back all the memories, but it's just data. Right. And so what I like is that kind of leaves something out there. Like, well, we can reasonably say that they'll probably end up back together, but that's going to be a journey to get there.
Right. Right. Sort of like 50 First Dates with Adam Sandler.
I think that was the specific intent.
Or Regarding Henry. It's like a whole genre. Yeah.
Right. And in the comics, as I recall, like the twins were a creation of her mind. Mm-hmm. So that's very similar in this, right? It's because obviously she can't have children with this robot guy, so she like uses her probability powers, which we've now started getting in this, to basically make it possible to have children. Mm-hmm. But it was like they don't truly exist, and as I recall, that like the fact that she was willing these children into existence was causing a disruption in like the chaos in the world, and like it was like she was destroying reality by having these children.
I like all this. Sounds like something I'd really enjoy. I want to see this movie.
I'd have to go back
season 2 or something. I don't know.
I think what's cool to me is that there is precedent in the comics that Wanda is basically the most powerful person on Earth, and she can destroy all of reality. That's all there. So they've laid the pieces for that here in this. So I think I also like, people are like, oh, why didn't Doctor Strange show up? Because he's referenced at some point. They talk about the Sorcerer Supreme. Mm-hmm. And my understanding, Brian, is that they actually shot a cameo with him.
Oh.
I could be wrong about this. My understanding is they shot it, and then because of all the delays and stuff, like this was supposed to basically like lead right into Doctor Strange like next month. Mm-hmm. But since that's not coming out for another year or whatever, they were like, let's just hold off on that.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, well, obviously, yes, that would have been nice because we love Benedict Cumberbatch as that character. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of like, well, we're getting there. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Right.
So let's just sit tight, I don't know. That's me. I what you mentioned earlier. I mean, I think Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany are A, they're so good as these characters, but B, they're so good together.
Totally agree.
Right.
Totally agree.
I mean, when you see them part at the end, it works.
Yeah.
And I like that they have the meta awareness of like, well, this probably isn't forever.
Yeah.
It's like, see you later,
Yeah.
I
and it's
like
one of those things too where, it was all sort of a dream, so to speak, but Well, it was more than that, really. But I mean, it was dreams can feel very real and still be heartbreaking, you know.
Yes.
And I thought I thought the story conveeyed that really well. And then they have the, basically like Deep Impact ending,
Yeah, right.
or Rogue One.
Yeah, no,
And,
that's true.
There's something so tragic about seeing an impending ending, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think, I mean, some of the conversation online has been like, she just did this whole thing and there were no consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, to me, the mere fact that as she's leaving this town and she's kind of putting her hood up, whatever, and like all those people are glaring at her,
Right.
like that is just step one of consequences. Like, I don't think this is the end of that story.
Yeah, I did feel that a little bit. I thought they could have hammered how much she had really hurt a whole town.
Yeah.
A little more, but I agree with you. I mean, it is there, and knowing that these things are basically part 26 of 108, like I'm sure it's coming.
I can't imagine that Doctor Strange 2 won't address this, given that that's where she shows up next, and
Right.
it's part of this. And the other thing, real quick, we were talking about the fake out with Quicksilver. To me, when you think about it, this is twice in a row that Marvel has faked you out by alluding to a multiverse.
What was the first?
They did it with Spider-Man Far From Home. If you remember, Mysterio's like, I'm from Earth, 963 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that was all just bullshit.
Oh, I see.
Right? Like, he's like, your Earth is number 616 and blah, 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 right? And it was all just, he just made it up, right? So I'm like, they've done this twice in a row. They're doing it deliberately. They're deliberately faking you out twice. And then the third time, multiverse, yeah, sure. Oh my God, it's real.
Right.
That's obviously what they're doing.
Yeah.
How do we know this? Because it's literally called In the Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
Right?
I actually, just going back to what I just said, I mean, you really do have to look at these stories as if you're only halfway through the book. I mean, they do find satisfying endings for the immediate adventure at hand, but the story is not finished, and it will continue for, decades.
Yeah, and
I mean, you kind of have to keep that in mind.
You're either down with that or you're not. But I mean, that's what it goes back to for me. It's like those of you who are upset that like Reed Richards didn't show up. Mm-hmm. All right, well, give it some time. He'll be there.
Right.
And then those of you who are upset that it didn't end with, two people eating dinner. That's not what this is.
Right.
If you want to get your oil changed, go to Jiffy Lube.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my in toto description of WandaVision. If you don't want it, go to Jiffy Lube.
Right.
I think that's a good place to wrap up this discussion. I don't know. I feel like
I agree.
Anything we did not cover.
I'm thankful to have had this entertainment for the past 2 months or whatever it's been. I mean, it's like you said. I mean, this couldn't exist as a movie. So how cool that this thing got so successful that we can have these sorts of ancillary, interesting projects.
It's true. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. We're like 10 days away from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series.
Yeah, that's right.
People are going to be like, it's no WandaVision.
Yeah, I know.
That's coming.
Yeah, but I can't wait. It's like getting a new big movie every week.
I know. So that is 6 episodes, and then shortly after that will be Loki. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that, this coming summer, will be What If.
Oh, yeah.
So Marvel has lots of stuff planned. And one thing I want to say, and I've said this before, and I've said this on Twitter, if folks out there listening are feeling a little bit of an itch for some more serialized TV series, MCU stuff, check out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is streaming in its entirety on Netflix. It's not on Disney Plus yet. You got 7 seasons of pretty darn good TV. Mm-hmm. And bonus, there's a whole storyline about the Darkhold in, I think it's like season 4. So, that is not a good book, Brian. It's bad news. It is bad news.
You're right.
So whatever Wanda is doing at the end of this episode, it's not good.
Not good. Okay.
Yeah, that much we know.
Yeah.
So I think we can wrap our review here.
Cool.
Anything you want to hype up, Brian, while we got you?
Yeah. Puppy Dog Pals still airing. We just had our St. Patrick's Day episode. We have another one coming up in a week or two. Like I say, the train just keep on rolling. And that's on Disney Channel, Disney Junior, and Disney Plus.
There you go. As for me, you can find my writing at the San Francisco Chronicle and also at IGN. Got some cool reviews coming up, and if you go to IGN, you can see my write-up of Coming to America, and if you go to the Chronicle, I have a review of WandaVision, the entire season, so check that out. I guess we can announce this, Brian. We just talked about this. Our next commentary track coming up very shortly will be Superman 2.
Yeah.
Which that should be a fun one.
Yeah.
I might have some things to say about that movie.
Yeah, I can't wait. By the way, I was actually going to say this to you off air, but I'm just going to say it here. Because I bet a lot of people will agree with me. So I love talking about these things, especially these Marvel things, because I was thinking of like Harry Potter. Like I watched the Harry Potter movies and I was like, yeah, that's fun. But when I talk to the people who read the books, like, no, you don't understand. This character did this. And they start telling me everything that they're bringing to the movies that sort of make them play even grander for them and their hearts and imaginations that I just don't have. And I'm like, well, I enjoyed what I saw, And I feel like that sometimes with some of these comic book movies. I'm like, yeah, I enjoyed what I saw. And then I love having you add all the texture that you carry with you. They truly enhances them for me also. So I love these discussions. So
well, I appreciate that. And I mean, it doesn't take much to get me started. So I appreciate the opportunity for that. And for that reason, I suspect we'll have much to discuss with Superman 2. The timing of which, this year is the 40th anniversary of that movie. But also, it is the forerunner of the release the Snyder Cut movement.
Yeah.
And so that's why the timing kind of works out well. And I'm looking forward to talking about that, hopefully within the next week.
Yep.
That's the plan. As always, please keep your questions and comments coming. You can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. If you're looking for me online, you can find me on Twitter at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. As always, please go to iTunes and leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps. And with the new year, it'd be great if those of you who are listening feel the urge to let us know what you think. That would be nice. So if you can hit up iTunes, we'd appreciate that. On behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zaki Hassan. This has been Movie Film 219. We will catch you next time.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and